¿Qué es lo que mi gente? Aquí estamos. We got Josh. Okay, is it Waxman or
Waxman.
Waxman? All right.
Waxman.
Okay, so how was that like growing up?
What?
Waxman? Like what did they call you?
Wax.
Just Wax?
Yeah. Everybody called me Wax.
Okay.
Or
How'd you
Waxman.
feel about that? Like, did you
Feel great.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I'm proud to be a Waxman.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, they would call me a queer. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it made me very confident in my sexual identity. I was like, I'm not. I'm not. I swear.
That's awesome. That
Yeah,
was
bro.
always Wax or Waxman. Well, at football practice, like my junior year, my football coach was like, "Who's Josh?"
Who's Josh?
Oh, Wax. All right, cool.
What'd you play?
Quarterback.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very, like, leader-esque, very, like, take charge. Like, did you ever get hurt?
I did get hurt.
Myself and our mutual friend, we were cripple buddies for the longest.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I actually, we built our relationship because I would wheel him from one side of the school to the other.
That's awesome.
But yeah, bro, I don't think I would have ever survived like college ball or any stuff like that. It's like it was a hobby.
Yeah. It was cool. It was cool. Not a lot of 5'11" white Jewish guys play in the NFL.
And no, but you know that Edelman guy, that
Yeah,
boy's
he's
lit.
good. He is.
Yeah. I saw the roast and he was like all star David out. And he's like, I'm Jewish.
Yes.
Oh yeah, bro. So talk to me, man. We connected because you helped me get a life insurance policy. We've been talking about finance. Obviously, we have our mutual friend in the middle, who's always guided me financially, always been giving me advice, whether it's with crypto, whether it's with this. How did you get into this space? Like, do you enjoy it, or is it just your job? Like how did we get here?
Absolutely. I love it. It's something that I never thought I'd be doing. I grew up in the Philly cheesesteak business, so I thought I was going to be doing that for the rest of my life. One thing led to another, and ended up in the finance business, then ended up in insurance, and I feel like insurance is the solution to all of the financial understanding that I had growing up, and that's in a short version, how I got started with
So
it.
Philly cheesesteak business. So you're from Philly originally?
Yes.
Okay. So is it Pat's, Geno's? There's more in there.
There's more. My favorite's Jim's, but yeah, Pat's and Geno's.
Jim's
are
is the
main
one
two.
that's like on like that very trendy street.
Yeah, South Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I've had Jim's, but not the Geno's. I know there's like a beef.
Yes.
No pun intended.
There is.
But there is like like turf wars with the
Oh, yeah.
cheesesteaks.
Absolutely.
Is that like a family biz or is that something that?
My dad started working at Lee's Hoagie House when he was in high school, and with him and his friends, and then he and all of them ended up after college owning their own stores.
Yeah.
And so he owned 4 of them when I was growing up, and that I started working there forever.
Yeah. So you've always been entrepreneurial. You've always been surrounded in like this
Yeah.
business space. I'm gonna do it for myself.
Yes.
What would you say was like a defining moment for you in your childhood that you carry today? Like something that said, "Hey, this is why I'm this way."
Absolutely. I would say that would be when my parents got divorced when I was 13.
I feel that.
Yeah, so before that, I was still always entrepreneurial. I still was always the business guy. I was still math and money and business and going to work with my dad. But it was at that moment that I decided that I was going to do things on my own, because up until that point, I lived a decent childhood, and we went on away on vacation, and when I asked for something, if we were going to the mall with our friends
Yeah,
and I
you get
needed
it.
$20,
It wasn't-
I'd get
yeah.
$20. And after my parents got divorced, I would go ask Dad for $20, and he'd say, "Well,
That's your mom."
I give Mom all my money." And then
Feel
I'd go to Mom and I'd say, "Can I have $20?" And she'd say, "Go to your dad. He makes all the money." And I don't know what's going on. I'm 13 years old, and so, this happened 13, 14, 15 years old, and so I just decided, like, I'm just going to go work and make my own money so I don't have to deal with being in the middle. And that's when I started working more, playing football more, being more committed, and it was really 15, 16, 17 years old that I started getting into personal development, mindset, business, success, and I've been obsessed ever since.
Dude, I can relate with you on the whole parental divorce, but I think for me, mine happened like after high school and college, and that was around the time where I started like traveling to different states, and I felt like I was kind of running away from their divorce? Because I get it. Like, you want to be impartial, but your parents kind of put you in a position where it's like you got to pick a side, or
Yes.
and then it's like, bro, I don't want to be in your beef. Like, I just want to, engage with both of you.
Yeah, it sucks for a lot of kids because you don't know where to go. And there's one story over here, there's one story over here, and you love both of your parents, but you're put in the middle.
Did you ever feel like it was like your fault, even though it's not, obviously, but like, did you feel like you had something to do with that, or did you ever feel
I
like...
didn't personally, but that's not to say that there's other people that do feel that way. Yeah. I didn't, but it was just because of the nature of the situation. Yeah.
Do you think that sports helped you in like developing like discipline?
Absolutely.
and your stuff? Because I feel like most people that I played football with, whatever scale they on, like, they're doing okay.
Yeah.
Or it's just people that played sports in general in high school, like, versus people that didn't do anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, being sports minded is a key. It's something I look for when bringing on new people. Did you play a team sport? Because it's the whole like concept of not letting somebody fail, or if you're running laps, who's bringing the other people on, or if you're doing abs at the gym and you have to do planks and one person fails and you have to do it all over again, like keeping everybody up, keeping everybody together. That's something you learn from sports, or something I learned from sports.
When you recruit people in Harvard,
yes,
would you prefer, or what would you value more, a like ultimate team player, or just like star like, or producer stud, but he's like kind of like lone wolf diva? Like, what person would you say performs better?
What person performs better? Probably the lone wolf person. But what person's better for a team? I think both of them. I think you need both. You need both on a team. I look for those two types of people. But as long as the person that's the high producer is also a team player, because the person, you use the word diva, if they are a diva, like Antonio Bryant type of diva, I don't want that person on my team. I don't care how good you are. You're not gonna work well with me, and you go work well with somebody else. But I need somebody that's a producer, but also a team player. I would rather have the team player than a diva, but I'd rather have a producing team player. Yeah,
I feel you.
Than both.
It's like, at least in like canvassing and what I do is like, sometimes, and I agree, it's like, you don't want to have that diva, but it's like, man, you put up numbers.
Yeah.
And it's like, we obviously work in industries that are number driven, data driven, like how many things you close, how many things you sell. So it's kind of like finding this balance. What do you think is like the most important thing in building kind of like a team culture because would you consider what you do sales?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is sales.
Yeah. So in this kind of sales environment, what do you think is the best way of fostering, like, hey, I have your best interest and I want you to have my best interest?
Having a higher mission than the team, than the individuals. The team having a higher mission than the people, because then it's something outside of yourself that you're fighting for. But it's hard for people to see that if they're struggling. So you have to get people past like the struggle stage to where like they can pay their bills. Otherwise, they're literally not going to be able to see anything besides I need to put food on the table.
And then they're working out of desperation.
Yeah.
And do you think that desperation is a how do I say, like a motivator or a demotivator? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are people that like, I'm in a tough hole, so that's gonna make me grind, or like, I'm in a tough hole, so I'm gonna fucking shut down. And
it depends on the person. Yeah.
Kadeo, I see. Okay, so check this out. Are you familiar with the principal agent complex?
No.
Okay. You're a business owner.
Yes.
Okay. As am I.
It?
So we're principal, right? Like, our goal in capitalism is we want to make the most amount of money with the least amount of expense, right? That's how we win. At the end of the day, that's how business runs. That's how this works. The agent, being our employees, they want to make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort. So this kind of creates this friction where business owner, principal, is always at odds with agent, and agent is always at odds with principal. So that's kind of like the modern American like experience in the workforce, right? Like
Yep.
there's always boss that's telling you, hey, work harder, so that agent can make boss more money.
Heard.
But then agent's like, man, I want to get paid whatever, with the least amount of effort. Have you ever experienced kind of this phenomenon in your organization or just in anything?
Absolutely. You're going to. I think the solution that I've found to that is to teach people as best as I can to think like a business owner and to have it be their business. I don't care if you're an employee, even if you have a job, your business is that job. We're all here to do the same thing at the end of the day. We're all here to fulfill our highest purpose and make as much money as possible so we can give back as much as possible and influence other people as much as possible. Whether you know it or not, that's what we're doing. And so being able to teach people to think like a business owner, you have to be transparent with your books, with your money. If you are transparent, then people will respect that. If you're not, which most people are not, because they get scared of if they know how much money I'm making, then they're not going to want to work for me, or they're going to steal from me, or they're going to go do something else. You have to be transparent. I'm very, very, very transparent with all of our money, income and expenses.
Man, I've found, so canvassing, this politics stuff, this door knocking is so human oriented. And I've always said, like, all the problems in my job have nothing to do with the job. It's like, I woke up with a bad mood, like I don't feel like doing this. So
Yeah.
it's dealing with the human aspect of it. I found that ownership is a very sensitive topic. Because I own it, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do.
Yes.
So if the agent doesn't feel ownership, they don't care. They're not going to put in their best foot forward, or rather, like how I say to people, is like, yo, I'm gonna grind for you.
Yeah.
They're not gonna grind. They're gonna do the required. You know what I mean? Not excel. So the trick is, how do you instill a sense of ownership
Yes.
in someone?
You teach it. You teach it. You bring them with you. I asked my dad 2 weeks ago, what did you do with me? Because I have ownership in everything that I do. You want to have ownership in everything that you do. And I communicate with the team. I don't really understand the non-ownership mentality because I was bred into it. But he said, I brought you with me everywhere. You sat next to me while I did everything. You watched me do it. I taught you how to do it. I watched you do it. And then I let you go do it. It's like bringing people around. So I like to go take the team to networking events. I like to take the team to smoke a cigar like we did when we first met. Like I like to take the team to see how to interact with that, how to be an owner, how to own it. It's a feeling type of thing.
It really is a feeling, yeah.
It's a feeling type of thing. I think once you give people a little taste of it, they're going to want it. And it's a challenge to flip the switch. But once the switch is flipped, you can't not take ownership of something that you own ever again.
I feel like it's tricky because everybody acts in a self-interested manner. Everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
So now I'm getting on like a political philosophy type shit. It's like every actor has an interest, and we are going to pursue it. We're gonna go do what we want, and that's where I feel like that principal agent complex that we've been talking about is so key, because it's like, dude, how am I going to address this issue? Like, the issues are going to happen. Like, know what the problems are. You foresee them. So is it people solution? Is it like a strategy solution? Is it the mix?
I think you have to, so far, I've not done this well all the time, but something is to give people the expectations up front and then hold true to it and don't have any leeway of it. Like, there's a difference between, I always talk about, there's a difference between running a high school football team and then Alabama football team.
Wow.
Right? Like, in high school, everyone can be on the team. You don't have
That
to
means you're gonna
make
play
the team. Right,
yeah,
you might be
yeah.
on the sidelines. But at Alabama, they're only looking for this kind of person. And if you're not this kind of person,
Then you're not a part
you
of the
can
team.
go to FIU. You could go to FAU. You could go to USF. You could go wherever you want. But, like, if you're going to play at Alabama, you got to be
You
like
got to be
this.
this fit.
Yes.
That's so funny because when Javi and I play football, it's so true. It's like it's not like you try out. You just show up and then you get to wear the jersey because you showed up. But that doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything or because that's earned.
Yeah, it just has to. It depends on the owner. What do they want?
Yeah.
Some people are cool with the high school football team. I don't know how to operate a high school football team. A high school football team would annoy me, personally, and it's maybe a flaw. It's a flaw. I think all of our flaws are also our strengths. Like our weaknesses are our greatest strengths. The fact that I don't know how to communicate with the person that doesn't want it also means that I know how to really take the person that does want it and help them be successful. Right. Yeah. So like I'm an Alabama football coach. Like you have to be like this. You have to wake up early. You have to go to the gym. You have to come in. You have to work your butt off. But we're all going to be successful because of it.
Yeah. How do you build value? And this is a general exact because I want you to answer it like a general like is value built in an exchange? Is value perceived? Does value already exist? You see what I mean? Like
sure. I'll use Alex Hormozi's value equation. Have you read his books?
I know I'm familiar with Alex Hormozi. Haven't read the books, but please.
Sure. I mean this is something I've adopted over the last couple of years, but the value equation essentially is how can you take somebody's dream outcome times their perceived likelihood of achievement. So whatever their dream outcome is, which is I want to lose weight, right? I want to be shredded. I want to have a six pack. All right, that's their dream outcome. Their perceived likelihood of achievement for that is probably challenging for most people. Right, but you can increase value. That's at the top of the equation. The bottom is the time delay times effort and sacrifice. So essentially,
that'll take a while.
So essentially, it could, but not really. What if you do Ozempic? What if you starve yourself? What if you
all the array of options that you can do to get that goal?
Yeah. So that's why. Or another example is I want to reach enlightenment, dream outcome, enlightenment, right? Or like freedom, right? So you could that's why it talks about like you could meditate and achieve that and achieve like stress relief. I want to relieve my stress. Right, this is why there's a difference he talks about between meditation, which is going to take 1, 3, 5, 10 years to really adopt, or you can just take a Xanax, right?
And it'll get you there quicker.
Yeah, and the value of a Xanax is very high because the time delay and the effort is so small.
Compared to if you meditated to get to that point.
Because technically, he talks about if you want to lose a six-pack, buy my workout program, and as soon as you purchase it, you'll immediately have a six-pack. That would be an infinite return.
Right.
Or, hey, take this Xanax, and immediately you'll relieve their stress. So you can charge a higher price for something that has a very, 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 very small time delay with very little effort and sacrifice, because anything divided by 0 is infinity. So you could charge an infinite price. So the closer you can get the time to be immediate and the effort to be nothing, then the higher value you can have.
So what you're saying is, if I could just somehow tell my clients or show them that if you paid me $100,000, you won your election today.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes, exactly. Man, same thing. If you come work with me, I guarantee you'll be successful, and I can't say you're going to make $1 million after 30 days, but I've had people that make 10 grand after 30 days, so I could, the value of that is very high. And a lot of places in corporate America, you might have to work somewhere for 10 years to make 10 grand a month. Yeah. So like it might take you 10 years in politics to actually win an election, right? But like think about Donald Trump. Donald Trump's value is he didn't spend any time doing any of that. His time delay was very small. Depending on how you look at it.
I would agree with you compared to other like career politicians that to get to that place, it's literally a career's worth.
Although he did plant the seeds back in the day when he said
hip hop helped him. No, bro, Trump is a whole fucking.
But the point is that his value is so high, regardless of what you think about him. Mm-hmm. The value is so high because he didn't spend a lot of time doing it. He did, but you know what I'm saying. The time compared to a politician to go win a local, and you know this way better than I do.
Sure, no.
But like the mindset of like the same as like corporate America. I'm gonna go win a local election, then I'm gonna do a county, then I'm gonna do a state.
It's like saying like most politicians start as entry junior associate, but bro just jumps straight to C-suite executive. Off like rip, that. Like just jumps right to it.
There's high value for that. So whatever. That's just I was trying to put it into your terms of like whatever. But that's essentially the highest value would be buy my weight loss program, and as soon as you swipe your credit card, you look down, shredded.
Yeah.
Or you come, as soon as you sign your employment papers, you look at your bank account, there's $1 million. That would be an infinite return of value. So, to answer your question directly, if you can give people what they want in as fast as possible with as little effort and sacrifice as possible, that builds value.
Man, it's funny because I
didn't take, that was Alex Hermosi, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you cited him. We can't get copyright now.
Yes.
I always tell clients, I'm like, man, if I could just have like a machine that you would rent out that just clones you,
yes,
that'd be way better than all the other shit I'm about to do for you.
They might have that some places.
Somewhere. Okay, so I want to get into finance. I want to talk about poor versus rich, asset versus liability. I haven't worked in the finance space, but I consider myself a little knowledgeable on it. Why do you think people stay poor? Why do you think people become rich? Like all this, I come from Cuba, and in Cuba there's not really much economic mobility. It's really like who you know, what you know. But in America we have so much economic mobility. Like, I'm not saying right now I could choose to be a millionaire, but this is the most economic mobility that one person can have in the world.
Understood.
So what is the determining factors of this economic mobility?
One word: belief. It all has to do with your mindset. It all has to do with your belief in yourself at the end of the day. Period. I think that it comes down to who you surround yourself with, but that's also not accurate. There's people that have surrounded themselves with nobody and they made it. There's people that come from nothing and they make it. There's like Les Brown and Eric Thomas and these guys that were homeless eating out of trash cans that become successful. There are people that are athletes right now that came from broken homes or broken areas. So it's not, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what your race is, what your gender is, what your creed is, what your religion is, what your spirituality is, what your parents do, where they come from, what you grew up in. It just has to do with you versus you and what you want and what you expect out of life and what you believe about yourself at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. Now, there's other things that can help you out, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Like you can have a mentor. For me, having a mentor always has proven to be successful. Like Jim Rohn, you know who Jim Rohn is?
No, but you're dropping some names, dude. You're dropping...
Jim Rohn talks about like being rich is easy. And you have to have three things. Number one, you got to live in America, right? Because how lucky can you get? You live in America. People are not trying to go over to Mexico. They're trying to get to America. Mm-hmm. People are not trying to go to Cuba. They're trying to come to America. Nope. People are not going to Russia. They're coming to America, right? Maybe Andrew Tate's going to Russia. But those are the situations. People want to come to America. Regardless of what the heck is going on in the country, people want to come to America. That's number one, because you can have the opportunity to fail and try again and fail and try again and never run out of opportunities. Number two is you have to find an opportunity. And opportunities have never been easier. Back in the day, you had to go to the last page of the newspaper and look at the job postings or whatever.
And then pull up somewhere to an office waiting yeah, I get you. Here, this is instant. You can LinkedIn message every single human being.
Yes.
You could just show up. And I want to kind of tap into your belief, because I really do feel like people believe that they can't, or that they're inferior, or they're not deserving.
Correct.
Whether it's what their parents instilled or just how they see themselves.
Yes.
And I think I'm very grateful to my parents, where I was just a short, chubby brown kid, but I felt like Superman.
Yeah.
My whole kid life. And I feel like that's what made me be like, oh, I can do it. I don't go, you know what I'm saying? I'll do it. I'll take this risk, because I know I'll be fine.
Yes. There's only a 1 in 500,000% chance. I don't know where the science comes from, but there's only a 1 in 500,000% chance that you'll hear positive things at home. So when you say, I want to be an astronaut, Mom, they're like, oh, you can do whatever you want, son. Yeah. Or like, oh, I want to be a basketball player. And, oh, you can do it. That's very rare to hear at home. Most people don't hear that. Most people, life is hard. You're not going to be able to do that. That's not accurate, whatever. And so, the belief comes from building different parts of things that you believe that give you support. Tony Robbins says belief is like a table, and you have to put legs under the table in order to hold it up. Yeah. You need at least 3 legs under a table and you put them in.
Yeah, I mean with missing that fourth leg, it'll be a little wobbly, but it'll get the job done though.
You could have a triangle table.
Yeah, triangle's the strongest shape.
Yeah,
that's my frat.
There you go.
The teak fucking people how you just do it. I never understood why the frats always had like their gang signs. But yeah, bro, and I know this is gonna sound really like it's rough because when we talk about being poor versus rich and the options, for example, Francis Suarez, he got in so much trouble because they asked, what was it? Something about the lines of, the economy's hard. What do you recommend people do? And his answer was, make more money.
Yes.
And everyone's like, you're so inconsiderate. Like, how could you say that? Like, but it's like, that's literally the answer. Like, there is no cookie cutter way of, if you want more money, you have to either work harder or make more in your time. So would you be on the boat of being poor as a choice? Or are you more of, there are social economic factors that will affect a group of people, a circumstance?
Everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. Yeah, it's nothing to do with socioeconomic situations or your race or where you come from. Are there things that are set up for some people to succeed or some people to be in a tougher situation? Absolutely. But the reality of the situation is that there are thousands of people in whatever your excuse is, there's thousands of people that overcame that excuse and became successful.
Yeah.
And if one person can do it, then anybody can do it. And as I speak about things like that, people have always said, oh, you're white privilege, you're racist, you're an asshole, you don't know what you're talking about. I've gotten canceled on social media. I've gotten got my restaurants taken away because of a post I made on social media about how, right in the middle of BLM, about how it doesn't matter where you come from or what your situation is, anyone can be successful, and that it is a choice of what you want to believe, what story that you're told. Now, sometimes your parents instill that belief in you, and so you don't realize you're making a choice. It's an unconscious choice, but the reality is that anybody can be successful. No matter where you come from, no matter what your situation is, no matter where you're at, anyone can be successful. And if you don't think that, let me know what your excuse is, and I'll write you a list, or ChatGPT can write you a list of 1,000 people that have overcome your excuse. That situation.
I want to tell you about a difficult situation I was put into. So, I knock doors. I hire people to go knock doors.
Yeah.
Gay people, trans people, black people, white people, everybody. I don't care, right? But different people have different experiences. So when I send my team out to Georgia, they've had negative experiences at the door where it's like, and again, I identify as a colored person, but I'm not black, right? Like, and I've gotten this whole debate of, am I black or not or whatever? I'm not. I'm Hispanic. So when I had my, my team that's African American knock on a door, and they were chasing us. They were super rude, and at that moment, I know where this is going because I've heard it countless times of that, like, it's because I'm black. It's because I'm this. It's because I'm that. And I'm put in this hard, weird space because it's like, I want to be sympathetic to you. And I'm not black, and I will not know what that feels like. I can't. There's no way for me to know what that's like. Have I felt prejudice? Have I experienced some kind of racism or some kind of course. But Nadir, I wasn't like, oh, I can't because of this.
Yeah.
But then the conversations that I'll have with them is like, basically it's like, I don't want to work anymore. This sucks. Like, how could you do this to me? Like, you got to move me areas. It's like, I can't do that. Like, this is the job. Like, just because you're black and had a bad experience doesn't mean that, like, I can magically, so it's like, how would you handle that situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have an insurance agent. They had a meeting, and they're trying to close somebody. and they're getting all this friction, all this pushback, and then at the end of it, they didn't sell anything, and they feel like, oh, it was because of my skin color. How do you do that debrief? You know what I mean?
The simplest answer that comes to my mind is leverage. Is, okay, if that's how you feel, and if you feel that this white guy's not buying from you because you're black, if you're on the call, say, oh, let me hook you up with the person that you'd love to talk to, and hook them up with somebody else. And if you feel like you're knocking on doors for politics and you're going into a Southern hospitality white area, then okay, then maybe put them in a different situation. Then put them into a place where they feel comfortable. But that's not how life is. Now, is it easier to go work with people that are like you and then you have a common relationship there? Sure. But if you really want to be highly successful, you have to be able to get over that, because other people don't feel that way, and you have to overcome that. I was watching the OJ documentary, and they were talking about, like, OJ was the whitest black guy ever. And he just didn't give in to any of it at all whatsoever. And, like, he just became that. He became that for other people. Are people always going to say that? Yes. But it can't. If that's your story, you have to write a new story. No. The easiest thing to say to that person, because it doesn't, unless you're going to be willing to put the time into re-engineering their mindset.
Bro, that's tough, especially.
That's fine.
And sometimes these frames are so, like, embedded in their identity that nothing, like, and it's, it's
then
like.
Reinforce their belief and take them from Bal Harbor and put them in another situation, put them into Opelika.
Yeah, but the turf ain't there.
I'm just saying.
I know.
That's what they want.
Yeah, that's what they want. Yeah,
that's what they want, and vice versa. Same thing. I grew up Jewish. Now I always say I'm a Christian, Buddhist, Jewish, Hindu. I'm all of it. I believe in it. I think they're all connected, and I have different beliefs of all of those things. But the reality is, like, could I go to, could I go to Aventura where there's a bunch of Jews and go talk to people? Sure. It has nothing to do with anything, in my opinion. But there's some people that build their whole business off of people that they're like. And that's fine.
This framing of, like, I'm this one mold and I can't break this mold, and if I do, it's like an attack on me. And
it's true, and it could affect you. It's had effects on me. The part of a story that I can share is, like, you asked me how I got into the insurance business. Like, the short story is I ran my restaurants, came to Miami, got into finance, met some people in insurance. But the real exaggeration of that, or the real story, is I was running my Philly cheesesteak spots. My stores got looted during the BLM protests in Philadelphia. Yep, and then I literally, May 30th, the day of the riots, my store was so dead. I was working. It was just me and one other guy working. I sent him home after lunchtime. I was by myself at work, and we were so dead. I was like, I closed up at 6 o'clock. And my store was here in Center City. I lived over here, and the riots were going on here. And I walked home, and I saw all these people throwing bricks into Foot Locker, into the Wells Fargo. Urban Outfitters was on fire. And all these kids were running into Foot Locker, grabbing bags from behind the counter, stuffing it with clothes. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Yeah. And then I got a call later that night from the police that my store got looted. And then that was May 30th. May 31st is my mom's birthday. So I said, all right, let's just close the stores. I'm just going to spend time with my mom. I don't know what to do.
Oh, my God. No matter.
June 3rd was a Wednesday, and I posted on Facebook that we should learn to love. When there's love and peace, there's no reason to feel like a victim.
And that's the post that got you all messed up.
Yeah. And this is, my parents' divorce was one thing, but after that, it was this event. And I said, when you live in love and peace, there's no reason to feel oppressed. There's no reason to feel like a victim, because you'll love everybody and have peace with everybody for who they are. No. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your situation is. Everybody can be successful, and there's no loving and protesting. There's no peace in rioting. Right? Martin Luther King had a march. Mahatma Gandhi had a march. They didn't have protests. They didn't have riots.
Non-aggressive.
Right, peaceful. There's no such thing as a peaceful protest. There's marches. and that's what I believe. And I woke up the following morning. You're racist, white privileged. You're an asshole. You're insensitive.
But
you
they
don't know what
looted. But
it's
they
like.
looted and fucked up your business.
It's okay. That was their way of getting back whatever they feel. That doesn't have to do with me. That was their own act of anger and aggression and their way of getting back at it. And then I got my franchise agreements terminated for my post because of defamation, because people would canceled Lee's Hoagie House. People, Temple University, the school that my store was at, screenshotted my post, put my picture, and said boycott Lee's Hoagie House. So now the whole franchise, I was defamating the brand, and I got my franchise agreements terminated. And this was like, I grew up in the business. This is what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to own the franchise for the rest of my life. And the point is that that's how some people are going to act. But my beliefs are still true. I still believe in what I believe in. It didn't affect anything beside now I'm not going to voice them as much in public at the times that those are happening, because I could get attacked. But now that situation it is what it is. I still believe that there's no such thing as victimization or it's a choice. It's you choose that. I don't think LeBron James would say that his being black has hindered his success in life. In fact, it's actually helped him because of his athleticism. I mean, it just is what it is. Yeah. I think that being Jewish or growing up in business has helped me be successful in business. We're all born in a certain situation so that we can fulfill God's will for us or source's will for us.
And you shouldn't feel bad for how you
whatever.
grew up, whether it's good or bad. Like,
yes.
I feel like the whole concept of privilege is crazy. It's like
we're all privileged. We live in America. You know that.
And privilege is relative.
It is all relative.
The lens you use, it's like.
Dude, growing up in Philly, like, I grew up like 45 minutes outside of Philly in like a very diverse area. And like in our high school, yeah, like we had a bigger house and kids came over and they liked to, I remember bringing everybody over for football practice and like they were literally like, my mom would be like, take all the food you want. And they would like take all the food. Like in Philly, we were richer, wealthier. And then I came to University of Miami.
And it's different.
I was the poorest person that I knew.
Yeah.
And all my friends had dad's credit card, and they would buy bottles and tables. And I didn't have that. Like, it's all relative. And then then there's like way more successful people that are just way above that. Like Sam Walton's poorest kid is worth $50 billion. Yeah. So like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's also like everybody who's alive today is more privileged than everybody who died yesterday. Yes. So it's like, it's the framing.
It's a privilege to live and breathe and be in America.
All right. I want to talk about the privileges of knowing how to use this money. What's up? Like, how do we build wealth? How can a lay person, somebody who's neither struggling but neither balling, how can they build wealth in a way that isn't making somebody else wealthy? I feel like at the end of the day in capitalism, and I guess this is my criticism of capitalism. I'm not a communist. But I feel like if I'm ever too one-sided, then I like to see things in a different perspective. What I like about capitalism is that I can own this shit, I can make it happen with my own fruition, right? And I fundamentally love the idea of property. Like, this is my couch. This me. You can't come in
it's
here.
It's our couch right now.
Right, no, but you know what I'm saying though, like ownership, right?
Yes.
Like you own things, it belongs to me, it has a possession. Versus in communism where that house isn't yours, your labor isn't yours, and your thoughts aren't yours. I guess, damn, I went on a tangent there. Fuck, I lost it.
Building wealth.
Building wealth. What is it linear? Is it like ... Is it like a parabola? Like, what is the ways in which folks can build wealth?
Well, the first question to ask would be, what is the definition of wealth? What is wealth to you? There's different levels to wealth. Is wealth being a millionaire? Is wealth having $10 million? Is wealth having $100 million? Is wealth having $1 billion? What level of wealth? They all require different situations.
And I guess all of this kind of goes back to what we've been talking about, that if you don't identify a goal or like an end point,
yes,
then everything is kind of like for naught,
Yes.
right? Because it's like we're not going somewhere.
Correct.
How would I identify wealth or success?
Yeah.
Well, number one, if you can not have to think about like constantly like, dude, like the pressure, like, you know, when you have shit due and you have like this deadline or you have this bill or you just
Yes.
have this baggage in your head
Yes.
of like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. I feel like if you don't have that, like, yo, that's nice, like that's
Well,
comfortable.
I understand. I think that that's more a cash flow situation than a wealth situation. When I think of wealth, I think of assets, because wealth is associated with net worth. And the formula for net worth is your total assets minus your total liabilities equals your owner's equity or net worth. All right, so it comes down to having a little bit of liabilities, not necessarily a lot of liabilities, a lot of assets. Because you can have a lot of assets and a liability and you still have a lot more net worth than other people.
Like the right debt.
Yes, good debt. Good debt, which is invested in cash flow producing assets. But to do what you're talking about just simply means to have more cash flow, which I think more people associate with being rich than wealthy.
Yeah, like, because more cash flow would mean I make $2,000, $3,000 more dollars a month.
Yes.
So this cash is coming in more, therefore I'm richer.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily true, because if you have more liabilities and more cash flow, it's like the same.
Well, liabilities, there's two situations in finance, right? So you have your profit and loss statement, which is your income minus your expenses is your profit or your loss, regardless of whether you own a business or whether it's personal. You make this much money, your bills are this much money, this is how much you're either in the hole or you got left over. That's one side. That's wealth. That's rich. That's cash flow. That's money coming in. That's a constant thing, right? That's what, when you're talking about making sure you don't have to worry about paying the bills, you want to increase your income. You increase your income, you decrease your expenses, you have more money left over. Simple. You just want to make sure that's happening on a consistent basis so you don't have to stress about money. Being a business owner, there are some times that I got a lot of cash flow, but I got a lot of money going out. Like, we got this event coming on in a couple weeks. I just doubled down on my marketing. I just put 30 grand down on this event. There's a lot of money out. I could have more income, but it's still going right out the door.
Yeah.
That's one situation. I literally bounced our payroll 2 weeks ago because of the timing of cash flow. Now, building wealth, on the other hand, is building assets. And assets are real estate, businesses, different financial instruments that have value. And that's a wealth conversation. Whereas being able to have money to make sure you don't stress, that has to do with increasing your income. And you increase your income by selling more clients, increasing the amount of money they spend, and having them come to you more frequently. That's the only three ways to increase your income.
So most folks work for someone else.
Yes.
We earlier talked about this whole principal agent complex. How can agents build wealth when they don't, so to speak, and I'm gonna get all like proletariat, bourgeoisie, fucking Marxist combo here, but if they don't own the means of production,
Yes.
or rather like that cash flow wheel, because that agent is dependent on principal
Yeah.
to pay them, how can someone in that situation build wealth?
Yeah.
And then the factor of time, right?
Yes.
Because when you own the wheel, the means of production, you can, I would believe, build wealth faster.
Sure. So, coming back, it comes to a clip of Jim Rohn that I think of talking about your income. He talks about income is like a ladder, right? And minimum wage is the bottom of the ladder. It doesn't matter where on the ladder that you start, right? People argue all the time about increasing minimum wage. Unless you plan on staying at the bottom, it doesn't really matter where you start, right? And so he talks about all you have to do is increase your value. Right, if you work at McDonald's and you go to work and you check in and you check out and you make $7.25 an hour, you'll make $7.25 an hour. If you smile and give good customer service, you might make $8.25 an hour. If you smile, give customer service, and also give everybody a high five when you come in and when you go out, you might make $9.25 an hour. If you run the food out to the customers and you're the one that's running around, and when somebody's out of burgers, you go in the back and you get more burgers, you make 10, and then you become a manager, you increase your value every single time. Like the CEO of Disney doesn't found Disney. His last name isn't Disney. He made $50 million last year. He's technically an agent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
but he has a lot of value. And so for anybody that's an employee, if you smile and if you go to work and if you have a positive attitude, the principal or your boss or whoever's paying your bills will give you more money because you have a good attitude. Period. And people will take you around more. People will show you more. But you
and
have
you'll
to
be more
think
prone
of
to
it.
opportunities
Yes.
and open yourself to these
And
things.
opportunities are everywhere. Every business owner, even an egotistical business owner, wants somebody with a good attitude to delegate stuff to take over doing some of the stuff that they want to do. And they will pay money for those things. But you have to have a good
Outsourcing.
attitude to be able to do that. Like that's how you can do. If you go to work every day and be grateful for you have an opportunity and give as much value. Hey Nadir, hey, I know you're super busy. I know it's campaign season. What can I take off your plate? What can I do for you? Don't ask for money.
No one's ever asked me that.
Yes.
By the way, no one's ever come
Yeah.
to me and was like, "Hey, bro, how can I, help you?" And never.
But that's
never.
how valuable would that be for you?
I would totally give preferential treatment to that person just
Right?
because they asked.
That's all you have to
I
do.
would.
That's all you have to do. I do this as a test, and we got somebody in our office that's here, but I purposely don't take out the trash in our office sometimes when it's full just to see
If they'll
if
do it.
people will do it. Not because I expect them to take out the trash because I'm the boss at all. I just want to see who
What's your work
who
ethic? What's your
owns the
mentality?
office.
I get what you're saying,
I want to
yeah.
see who owns the office. Who's the person if I do this sometimes too. When it's 8, everyone shows up at our office around 8:30. I'll be vacuuming. I want to see if anyone says, "Hey, Josh, don't vacuum. Let me do this for you."
Or like they'll join you in
Yes.
cleaning because they see like, hey, we're obviously.
Yes. Like growing up, if my dad was moving cases of soda and he's whatever at the time, he's 57 now, let's say he was 50 or 40, I should be moving the stuff. He shouldn't have to do that. And so if you go to your boss and say, "Hey, what can I do to help you?" Like what can I
That
do?
initiative, like
Yeah.
you're showing them like, hey, like I want to be useful. I want to be here and
Dude,
participate.
I have 50 things on my to-do list. I would love to delegate some things. And if you ask me without asking me for money, the next time I go meet with somebody at the cigar lounge,
I'll think
the
about
next
you.
time I go to dinner with somebody, the next time I'm supposed to go somewhere, I'm going to bring you with me. I'm going to pay for your stuff. I'm going to take you. You're going to learn. You're going to get educated. And then you'll be able to do that. But that is something you have to have a forward mind of thinking about it. But as an employee, there is nothing more valuable than doing that. And it's very hard. Very few people do that. And there's only going to be a few people in your career and in my career or in any boss's career that people do that without somebody asking for help. And sometimes it is good to ask directly, "Hey, I have a lot of things. If anybody would like to help take some things off my plate, please come up to me and ask me, and I would love to find something for you to do." But it comes back to most people are just clocking in and clocking out doing the minimum. But those people, they don't expect much of themselves. They don't ever see that they could be something greater than they are. But that's as a person that is literally 16 years old at McDonald's or 50 years old at McDonald's, if you ask, "How can I be of service? How can I be of value? What can I do to help you?" Not what can I do to make more money, not what can I do for you to pay me more. Like just be of
It's
value.
really the approach. It's like have you ever seen like those TikToks of like how should you go to your boss to ask for a raise?
Yeah.
It's not, "Hey, can you pay me more money to do the same thing?"
No.
No.
It's not. That's not how you do it. But if somebody offers that, I've had people offer me to add value, and then after they ask for money, I won't give it to them, because they asked. But if they didn't ask, I would give it to them. And it's not because like ask and you shall receive. Yes, you should ask for what you want in your life, 100%. But give without expectation. If you're gonna give, give. Don't give and then
with an ulterior motive
yes,
to
to get more money at the end
that.
of the day. Yes. And that's my mindset. It doesn't have to be the right mindset. My mindset doesn't have to be the right one. That's just how I think. And it's the reason I think that way is because that's my upbringing and that's my childhood. That's my dad taught me.
Mm-hmm.
And is it right or wrong? I don't believe in right and wrong, but that's what's helped me.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. Hey, what can I do to be of value and service to you? What can I do to help take some things off your plate? What can I do to help move our company forward a little bit. I know you're super busy. It's Sunday morning. You guys are in the office doing a podcast. Do you need my help doing any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Rather than being
Or,
at
hey, I
home
know
laying
this
at the
is
pool.
pressing. I could take care of this while you go do the other stuff.
Like, yo, I know, like, right now at our office, I have all these books. You have one of them in an envelope. It's like, I want to send. I asked somebody to write thank you cards. I've had nobody ask me, like, I have to carry these 50 books in these envelopes to the USPS to ship them, and it's like number 15 on my priority list. Wow. If somebody would just ask me, I would love that, and then it's something that I don't have to do, and I would pay them for it without them asking, but they don't know that, but they don't think that way, so they're not going to ask me, so I'm going to end up doing it.
It's like this vicious cycle. Almost. Okay, Josh, check me out. What is this infinite banking? What the hell is this? How life insurance, like, where I come from, the only life insurance is fucking don't die. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the insurance that I'm not gonna do something to kill myself or whatever. So what is life insurance? Why is this important? Why should people have it? And then I'll tell you how you convinced me, because I have it.
All right, cool. So those are I'll take one at a time. So life insurance is just like your phone insurance or car insurance. Something happens to you, you get money. If you break your phone, you get a new phone. If you have life insurance, doesn't mean you don't get a new life. You don't get a new life, but you leave a legacy for your family. And a lot of people don't think about it. I never thought about it. I never thought I'd be doing this. Like, I'm engaged. I'm not married legally. I'm single for now, right? Like, but I'm engaged. So like on paper, I'm single with no kids. So people are always like, why would you need life insurance? You have to value your life. Most people don't value their life, which comes back to your belief in yourself. If something happens to me, I want there to be money left behind. And I want there to be a reason that I lived here. I want my fiance to get money. I want my parents to get money. I want my sister to get money. And rather than me in addition to me building up my business and building my net worth, I mean, you can buy your net worth. And so life insurance in its simplest terms is a term policy is you just have life insurance. If you die, somebody gets money.
Your benefactor.
Yeah, your beneficiary. Mm-hmm. And the formula for that is covering all your debts. Like, if God forbid anything happens to a typical, let's say, married man or woman with kids, usually that other surviving spouse is left with the debt, left with no income. They're losing the income.
Yeah, all the stuff.
Funeral costs, the mortgage, the rent payments. They have to pay for their kids' college. They have to now pay money to their church or their synagogue or political groups that they are supporting. Like, where does this money come from? The easiest thing to do is get life insurance, so if anything happens, your spouse or your sister or your mom or your dad is fine. Like, there's no better way to pay back your parents for bringing you up than, like, if, God forbid, we walk out of here and get hit by a truck, that everybody in your family gets $1 million. That'd be pretty cool. And it doesn't cost a lot for a young person. Like, life insurance is that. There's different types of life insurance, but in the basic form, it's term insurance is if you die, your family gets money. Then there's whole life insurance, which goes for your whole life. And that one builds up cash. It never expires, and all the money that builds up, when you borrow the money, it's tax-free. And so regardless, the reason that so many wealthy people go into debt is because you get tax-free money from somebody else. Whether it's at the bank, whether it's a hard money loan for real estate, whether it's a mortgage, you're getting money tax-free from some other person. And so if you have a whole life insurance policy, you can build up cash and then borrow money tax-free from the insurance company. And infinite banking in and of its sense is really a concept that was founded or discovered by Nelson Nash in the late 90s. He's been in the insurance business for 30 years, and he realized that the need for a death benefit, what we were just talking about, the need for actually leaving money behind to your family is less important when you're alive than the need for financing. Because the world that we live in, we finance everything.
Your car, your phone, your house, your wedding. Everything is financed. Everything,
finance everything
can be put in a loan. Everything, and not only that, as you grow up, like, and this is my issue with school. Like, I had to learn all this shit like in real time by messing up.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, I wish you would have told me what a homestead exemption was. Like, I would have been exempted this, you know?
Yes.
But I have a whole one, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank God.
You have a whole one.
I was like, which one do I got?
You have a whole one.
Okay. But yeah, man, like just my story, right? Like, I moved out of my parents' house. I went to college. I don't have student debt, luckily, but I looked at like how much I monthly expensed at 19 years old to now 26, and it's like, holy shit. Like, this growing up is crazy.
Yes.
And I feel like people aren't aware of options. Like, I feel like if everybody just knew that you had options, you could make a more informed decision. Like, something that I'll never understand is like how you're 30 years old and you don't have a credit card.
Right.
Like, I never understood that. Like, and I
Shout
half of the people
out
like
to Dave Ramsey for telling everybody to cut up his credit cards. Stupid.
What do you mean?
Dave Ramsey tells everyone not to have credit cards. You should definitely have credit cards, and
Yeah,
you should
I don't
leverage
get it.
everything on a credit card so you can get points. I have not paid for a hotel or a flight in the last 8 years because of points on credit cards.
Yeah, and like and I see it from like my life and then the people that I'm around, because I'm around a lot of people for work reasons. I'm very social. I go up and it's like, how do you not use these instruments that are readily available to you?
Yeah.
Like, literally, on like, if I go in my roster of folks that have worked in campaigns, I'm like impressed how you are this age and you've never had a credit card.
Yeah.
And then I ask you, it's like, why don't you have a credit card? And then they're like, no, I don't need it. So I was like, so you float your whole life
Yes.
with debit?
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, like, no wonder you feel,
Yes.
you know, like,
I mean, it's definitely a challenge, and I don't think it's that people don't know. I think it's that people don't want to take responsibility for knowing.
you gotta explain that a little more.
Sure.
When you say take responsibility for knowing, is like that knowledge has almost like a sense of accountability, like because you know it now you have to be accountable to it, or
Absolutely. I mean, you can't tell me that it's 2024, you have access to unlimited amounts of information. All you have to do is Google, ChatGPT, something, and you get all the answers. It's really not hard. If you want to start a business, if you're an agent, if you're an employee, and you're like, F you, boss, I want to be my own boss, I want to do it. How do I start a business? Boom. Like, it's so simple. How do I get out of debt? Boom. How do I build wealth? Boom. Like, you can literally learn how to build wealth by reading Donald Trump's books, Robert Kiyosaki's books. All these people that have done it, they'll tell you how they did it. Every successful person, it's another thing. Rich people are not greedy. Rich people aren't assholes. Rich people aren't selfish. Like, most successful people I know want to give back and share what they've learned to other people. So when people are talking about, like, they don't know how to do it, I think it's not a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of taking advantage of opportunities or of resources that are out there and utilizing them, or asking somebody, because the information is out there. I mean, maybe it's just my feed because that's what I
surround
attract,
yourself with,
but like on I have my whole Instagram, that's really all I go on, is all different people sharing their strategies for building wealth. And you can just pick and choose. I want to be like that. I want to live this guy's life. I want to be like him. I want to do what he did. So I'm just going to watch all his videos, learn his stuff, buy all his courses, and do it. And and there's accountability factor to it. So you can't say you don't know.
I think it's fear-based. I feel like people would much rather stay in this like comfort zone than have to look themselves in the mirror and be like, oh, I messed up.
Yeah.
Or I failed, or I'm the reason it didn't work. Like, it's a hard, like you can, like, it's so easy to look at you and be like, oh, this is what you did wrong. This is why you weren't any good, et cetera, versus like, oh man, I fucked up, or I messed up. And this kind of takes me back to like how school doesn't really prepare people to think for themselves.
Yes.
Like, if I didn't have mentors, or if I didn't have, I guess, this like team sports angle that was like, go push, be better, go, 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 I would have never sought it, right? Like, you have to
Yes.
seek knowledge, you have to seek improvement. And I just think a lot of folks are comfortable in this box
Absolutely.
of no credit cards. I'm not gonna overexert myself. I don't even want to hear it, because you know what's so crazy? Like, and I gotta bring up Javi, because every time Javi has, and I have to be accountable about this too. Every time Javi has come to me with a plan or an idea, I was so resistant, and I mean, like, the resistance, when you really look at it, came from fear,
Yes.
the unknown. For example, my favorite one, which I regret every day, Javi comes up to me and he's like, "Hey Nadir, this new NFT thing, I have this monkey that it's $3,000, but it's gonna explode and it's gonna this and it's gonna that." And that monkey that was worth $3,000 in 6 months was now worth $250,000.
Really?
Yes. And I looked at Javi and I was like, Javi, there's no fucking way I'm going to spend $3,000 on a picture of a monkey. Straight up. And that's exactly what I told him. And now I look back at that moment and I'm like, because again, risk is all relative, right? Like if you only have $3,000, yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying the monkey either. But it's like, I had it, I could have done it, and it wouldn't have made me homeless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I personally, I invest in things that I have an affinity for. Like, I have to feel it. We went on a boat for my accountant's birthday yesterday. We were talking about investing in things, and I'm not anti anything about investments, but I just like investing in stuff that I like. Like, I don't really, not that I don't like art, because that's a stupid comment to say, but I don't have like a draw towards it.
Yeah.
But I love sports cards. Like, I have a bunch of like
you collect
baseball
them?
cards. Oh yeah, but I've done that since I was a kid. Like, I have an affinity for it.
I got you.
I have an affinity for life insurance. I don't really like stocks. I never really like day trading or like caring like that. I'm not saying you can't get rich
like
doing
Forex
it.
and stuff
yeah,
like
like
that.
it's not that you can't make it. I don't have an affinity for it. I don't have
call you.
I don't have a calling for it. But the real thing I talk about this a lot in our office is there's a payoff to staying broke. There's a payoff to everything. And the payoff is that you can allow yourself to continue being disappointed. And so if you were successful, then you can't go to your family dinner that night and complain about work anymore. Then when you go to Thanksgiving dinner and everyone's complaining about their jobs and complaining about their lives, you would feel uncomfortable. And when you go out with your friends, you probably would stop going out with your friends because they're talking about sports and girls and drinking and this, and you don't play sports or watch sports. You don't have random associations with girls anymore, and you don't drink anymore. And so now you're going to lose your friends, lose your family, and lose what you know of as your people.
That comfort zone.
Yes, so that's comfortable. Yeah. There's a payoff to being disappointed. And the biggest payoff on top of all of those is you continue to allow yourself to suffer and beat yourself up, which subconsciously you like, because we get this pain-pleasure principle. And so neurologically, we're addicted to feeling pain, and we get off on it. And so the struggle, when people say the struggle is real, like, you wouldn't be able to, if people say that to me, I have no response to that. Like, people, if you're like around and be like, yeah, man, it's just a hard life out there, don't you know it? I'd be like, not really. Like, just another day, man. You know what I mean? And then you'd have to be able to have the balls to be like, no, sir, I don't know what you mean. Life is great. Why isn't it great for you? Like, you'd have to be able to have conversations like that, which are hard conversations to make, and you'd probably spend less time with other people. But the self-esteem aspect of it, you allow yourself to beat yourself up, and I'm still letting go of so much stuff of letting myself go. I still feel negative things about myself. I still don't feel worthy of certain things. I still, when I look in the mirror, still see little pieces of me that I'm like, why am I not shredded? Why am I not this? Why am I not that? I still feel negative things about myself, but I'm letting go of every day. But stopping that takes a total rewiring of the brain, and to stay broke and to struggle and to blame it on your boss and blame it on your race and blame it on the government and blame it on this and blame it on that, that's how everybody talks, the average person. And so then it's easy to go to the bar and have a conversation about how
and sit there
shitty
and
life
fucking
is.
just hammer away at how this sucks.
Yeah.
And then misery loves company.
Yes.
So that's why you're gonna keep going it with
Yes.
this clique or this group. So, with that being said, do you think it's easier to be poor or to be rich, or what's easier to maintain?
Absolutely. I think they're both as easy and hard. People always say choose your hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's relative. For the wealthy person, it's difficult to maintain wealth, to continue staying there, but it's also easy because once you know how to do it, you keep doing it. And then same thing on the flip side, if you're poor, it's easier to not put forth the effort, but it's harder to struggle. So there are two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
They're two sides of the same coin, and that coin is just called life. I don't think it's easier or harder. I'd rather be wealthy. I'd rather not have to struggle.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that. But in order to do that, I draw this on the board at the office a lot. There's two menus to two different steakhouses, right? One's Outback and one's Prime 112.
Yeah.
They both almost have the same menu.
Yeah, it's steak, mashed potatoes,
steak,
asparagus.
mashed potatoes, asparagus, some lobster. But at Outback, the steak is $40, the lobster's $50, the asparagus is $5, and the mashed potatoes are $5. At Prime 112, the steak's $100, the lobster's $200, the mashed potatoes are the same freaking mashed potatoes, but
same potato.
They're $30.
They're from Idaho. It's the same fucking potato. Yeah,
they're $30, and the asparagus is $20. But in order to do this, you have to pay more money. So a lot of people will choose to go to Outback. How does that relate? The menu for being poor is you can sleep in, you can stay up late, you can drink beer, you can go to the bar, you can watch sports, you can talk to people, you can have friends, and you can have family, and you guys can suffer and struggle together. The menu for being wealthy is you got to wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you got to stay up late, you got to work hard, you got to lead people, you got to look yourself in the mirror even when times are tough and continue pounding through. When you're about to fail, you got to keep pushing. When you do fail, you got to do it again, and you got to keep going and going and going, and that's the menu for success.
Yeah.
You have to read a book you have to read 30 minutes of a book and watch 30 minutes of YouTube videos, and you got to learn, and you got to do these things. There are just two menus at two different restaurants but they're both restaurants.
No.
It's still life. You still have to choose which one. I don't think one's easier or harder. I think that it's hard to wake up when you're poor and continue going to work, and I think it's hard to wake up when you're wealthy and keep pushing forward every single day no matter what. Sometimes. And people say if you love what you do, it's not. I don't have that. Like, I don't think that. I'm juiced up to go be my best every single day.
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm doing. I could be building couches, but if I know that what I'm doing is helping me be successful and helping other people around me be successful, I'm passionate about that. And I think it comes down to choosing your hard, but I also don't like to say it's hard. So I would say choose your easy. Which one is easier? It's relative. I think it's just as easy to be successful as it is to be poor. You just have to do different things in the same 24 hours, and they lead to different things.
I think it's easier
thoughts?
to be poor because when you build wealth and when you build success, people are very envious. People and these are things that unfortunately one can't control, right? Like, I'm big on you got to worry about what you can control. Like, I can't control that someone's going to be mad that I'm balling, right?
Yeah.
But that's going to happen.
Of course.
And at least me, like, you know, I'm an all white, not because I want to be. This is all religious stuff. So I have a little bit of a religious perspective on it, which is that, you know what Mal de Ojo is? You've seen this before, right? I know you've seen this.
Yeah, the evil eye.
Yeah, exactly. So I really think that so this is coming from a frat boy that used to fucking post on his story how fast I was driving in my Charger, and I went to Europe one time, and oh my God, like I obviously you have to help yourself, but when you're poor, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about your business. Nobody's going to want to wish bad upon you. Actually, sometimes people feel pity for you. Nobody feels bad for me. Nobody is like, oh, let me lend a hand. So I feel like when you have wealth, when you've been building a business, it's a very lonely path. Your friends leave you, you get backstabbed. And I'm going to just sound salty here for a second because I've had these experiences. And then I'm like, would this have happened if money wasn't in the middle? It wouldn't. So that's why I feel sometimes like, and it's like when J. Cole was like, being broke was better, you know, or like when Biggie's like, more money, more problems, because it's true. It's like the more, and then this is the growth part. Like you learn how to deal with that. Nobody taught me, and I know you hear it, but nobody would say that, man, the fucking person who I started my business with, who I thought was going to be in my life forever, would turn to fucking start their own business and steal my clients. Like, that hurt from an emotional standpoint. And why did that happen? Money. Because if we didn't start the business, we'd probably be at the bar talking about how shitty our lives are.
So you think it's easier to be poor?
I think...
You don't think it's hard to wake up every single morning, look in the mirror, look and see that you have failed and be struggling to pay the bills every single month?
I don't necessarily... Okay. Let's make a point right there, and I want to push back a little bit. Just because you're poor doesn't necessarily mean that you're failed or unhappy. So that brings me to the story of the fisherman.
Okay.
Right, where you told me this one, or
I don't know.
Okay, the story of the fisherman, where it's like the fisherman, he fishes to catch fish, to sell fish, to provide for his family. So then the businessman comes to the fisherman and says, well, you know, if you just saved up the money of the fish, you could buy a boat and then hire people to catch more fish, so you could have more fish to make more money, and then you could go spend time with your family. But the fisherman, all he ever wanted to do was just spend time with his family.
Yeah.
So he tells the businessman, bro, like, I just fish to spend time with my family, and that brings me happiness.
Okay.
So do I think that if you're not happy with your circumstance, is that harder? Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's miserable. That's misery.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody who you're, I guess, consenting or accepting, and this is fine for you, and you really believe that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I just wanted to find, like, if somebody, median household income in America right now is like
50.
39 and change. Look on the U.S. debt clock. Let's just call it 40 grand. Or let's call it 48 grand. Let's call it $4 grand a month. If median income is $4 grand a month and your bills are $3,900 and every month you break even or have $100, then I wouldn't call you poor.
No.
I don't think you are. In America, if you're living in America and you're able to break even and have a little bit extra, so that even if you save it all up for Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, whatever it is, or it's your girl's birthday or your kid's birthday or whatever, and you can like get them a little something or take them to Outback, whatever it is, like that's, and you're happy, then that's cool, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're poor. And maybe that's just my own mindset, my own definition. In my mindset, I thought we were talking about somebody that's like struggling to pay the bills.
Yeah, like you literally, like you make money and it all goes away and you still aren't able to make ends meet.
Well, if that's the case, then I think that's really hard.
Yeah.
I think that's harder. I don't think that's easy. I think that is hard. And as a business owner, you kind of live both of those lives for a couple years.
Yeah.
I think every business owner, not every business owner, but most business owners spend 3 to 10 years in that stage of what the same money that a person that works at McDonald's is going through. Like barely being able to pay, maybe there are more bills, but being able to struggle and you have to come up with money to make payroll, and you have to provide for more people and give leads to more people. You're the one ordering the flyers for people to go hand off and these door hanging signs.
Yeah.
You have to order them. You have to pay for things. You have to pay for the rent. They don't have to do any of that stuff.
It's, I guess, the risk mitigation, right? Like, and that kind of takes me back to the whole agent principle. Like, that's why you're principal.
Right.
And I think, and I guess I'll leave you with this. I still think being poor is easier, but my standpoints are coming from from like a social, like, I don't want to be super high key, everybody all up in my shit. And I think because of my personal experiences is kind of brought me to that conclusion, because it's like all these things happen was because, I mean, there's probably a bunch of other factors too, right? Like, it's not just that, but I think money definitely changes people. You know what I mean? It changes their intent. It changes how they move. It changes how they treat people, right? Because we all act in our self-interest, and you need money to exert your interest. Because if you don't have money, then you can't do what you want.
Correct.
And everybody wants to do what they want. Nobody's like, I want to suffer.
People choose it. I think everything is a choice. I think everything is a choice. I think people subconsciously want to suffer because then they can suffer, because then they can continue beating themselves up, and they can have their self-fulfilling prophecy of not becoming what they want to do, and then blaming that person and blaming that person and blaming that person or blaming that situation. And that's my belief. And that belief is built on people that are in those situations, that are suffering, choosing to not suffer anymore. Mm-hmm. If you have to choose, everything is a choice. We have free will. God made us to be a certain way. We are made a certain way. We're here for a certain reason. We're placed in the situations the way we want to, and what we do with it is our choice. Yeah. That's at least what I believe.
Okay. I wanna conclude with this is like a riddle. I like to ask this question to people, because I think the way how this conversation progresses is interesting. So I want to ask you a question. What would you rather have? Okay. And it's not like you can have both. It's like a one or the other kind of thing. What would you rather have? Money or power?
Money.
Okay. Why?
Because you could have freedom to make choices with money.
Okay. But wouldn't you say that money follows power?
It depends. You can have... I don't require... Well, it depends what your definition of power is. I think...
Your ability to exert your will on things. For example, police have power because we respect it. Because we, as a society, have said that's where power lies, so we respect authority. Regardless of what you think of cops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's two different definitions of power in my mind. There's power and force in, like... And there's a book called Power versus Force, which is why I talk about, like, being in power means like you are who you are, and you're your true self, and you are in a high state of consciousness. There's that type of power. But then there's also cop power. Like, I'd rather have money and have no power than be a cop with no money, just because they have that kind of power. There's a forceful power that we talk about. That's our the typical definition that we talk about in society, which is like having power. Like, if I, like a security guard, or like the worst type of people that have power, I don't want to say I hate anybody, but people that, like, the parking ticket people that then call...
Then they get a power trip.
That then call tow trucks. Like, you just completely ruin somebody's day.
You've been told before.
I've been told before, multiple times. But, like, that situation, that's power.
Yeah.
But that's not the type of high consciousness power of, like, being... You said exerting your will on things. That's the tow truck guy.
Yeah.
But then there's the influential type of power where you don't necessarily have to have money. Gandhi didn't have a lot of money, but he had a lot of power.
For sure, I'd agree.
So it depends on which way you're talking about. But at the end of the day, I'd rather live in a place where I have money, because money, you can then have choices to go put it over here, put it over here, put it over here. Money can create power. But
can you buy power with money?
You can definitely buy power with money, but you can't buy money with power. And cops and tow truck people and parking authority are good examples of that.
Okay. But now, and I'm going to get all scientific here. No, I love this debate. I had this debate a bunch of times.
Question.
So you know how energy cannot be created or destroyed?
Yeah.
It just transfers?
Yes.
Now put that in the context of this debate. Uh-huh. Can money be created and destroyed? Because I think it can.
Money is created.
And it's also destroyed because it's spent, right? You acquire it and you buy it. But now
then it's passed around. Money's a... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but then power is there like and this is my view, right? There's a finite amount of power that will always exist.
Yes.
But it just transfers its shape. Like it exists. It's out there, right? But who wields it? Back in the day, since we're going all these examples,
Yeah.
the person who wielded power was a king or a queen
Right.
that was assigned through God, because God said, I have power, not
Yes.
you. This divination, right?
Yes.
But now as society has grown through, same amount of power has now gone into the business owners, the donating class, the oligarchs, the aristocracy,
Yeah.
because those are technically who has power, but that power is now, exerted through money.
Heard. Well,
So you see what I mean? Like the whole.
Yes, I think that, like, in the law of the conservation of mass and energy, like, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. However, the universe is always expanding, which is something we've learned in the last 100 years. And so if the universe is always expanding, there's more energy being created if cells are multiplying. And now we're getting scientific, but I'm deep into quantum physics as well. And so, like, if everything is constantly multiplying on itself and creating more things out of more things, and it's a constant evolution of creation creating more things, then there can be more power that can be created, and maybe that law will change at some point as science continues to grow, because there are things that are being expanded on. If there's more expansion in the universe, then there's more space in the universe, and then if there's more space, there needs more energy to fill those space. So therefore, maybe there is an ever increasing amount of power and an ever increasing amount of money, because if any one point in time, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. At every one
always
point,
just been,
yeah.
right?
If you just like paused, like, remember that movie Click with Adam Sandler?
Where you just
yeah.
froze everything.
If you just pushed pause, then there would be no more money printed, and there would be a finite amount of power at that moment. But as you push play again, the Federal Reserve is going to keep printing more money, and there's going to be more people that have more power. Even births, there's more births than there are deaths at every moment in time today, as we continue increasing, and the gap will continue growing. So as more people are born, isn't there more power coming into the world? Isn't there more energy coming into the world? Isn't there more understanding? I think that in a relative space, there's no money and power cannot be created nor destroyed, but because technically the same $100 bill goes from my hands to your hands, then goes to the bank, then pays the rent, but then immediately, as soon as it goes in the bank, it's lent out and multiplied times 9. So I think that maybe I'm misinterpreting the law of conservation of energy, but I think
you feel
that
the quandary,
energy
right?
can
Like
be created, and energy can never be destroyed, but I think it can be created. And I think the same manifestation is a good example, and it comes from a thought to an act, to words to action. And same thing happens with power, is you have a thought, word, and action, and then you have power. And I think that power can be created, and I'd rather have money in the world today to create that, because you can have choices. Now, if you have so much power that you can choose to shut down or own the Federal Reserve and then control the money supply, then that's an ultimate type of power, but I think it depends at what place in your life. In my world today, I don't require to have power over people. I would like to have influence on people or for people, but I'd rather have money to make choices so that I can do what I want in my life and have the freedom, because then you can buy your way into rooms, buy your way into places, and buy your way into things.
Because money's access at the end of the day.
Yes. So that's an interesting question. I do think power can be created, and I don't think it can be destroyed, but I think it can be reassigned to other people. And same thing goes with money. And I think that I would actually like to have a conversation with a quantum physicist or a scientist in the world today. Like, is energy constantly being created? Even though the law is the law, but laws change in science because we learn new things. I don't think the people thought the universe was expanding 100 years ago. I thought they thought it was stuck. And if it's stuck, then energy cannot be created nor destroyed. But if it's expanding, isn't energy always being created? And every time that we manifest something,
we just made like a paradox right here. We're like going back and forth on it. But either way,
I'm
Josh,
deep into that stuff.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.